Hey guys, what's up, and welcome back to Babadoodle. Today I just wanted to show you how to make your own Among Us animations for free. I know that those are quite popular right now, and if you wanted to get into the business, maybe start a YouTube channel about that, I'm going to show you how to do it. And now this is for beginners. I'm going to do a short tutorial on the device that I use for it, and it's a completely free app. And if you're more into like making really complicated animations, you're probably going to want to use a different app service to make your animations than I am. But if you just want to try to get off to a good start and you can make some pretty high quality videos, then this will be the video for you. So first you're going to want to come to this pencil2d.org. This is the service that I use, and it's completely free and it works really well. So you're going to go ahead and click download now. And I would download the 64-bit because that is the most common one. If you have a Mac, you can get the Linux version. I'm going to be doing it for Windows. It has 7, 8, and 10 right here. I have a Windows 10. But most computers now are 64-bit. If you have a 32-bit, it should work the same, but I would just go ahead and click 64-bit. And if you have a problem somewhere in here, read this troubleshooting down here, and it should help you. Like if I've had this problem before where it says this is missing, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go through the files and find that file and double tap it. But yeah, if you need help, just please comment below and I will help you out as soon as possible. I try to reply to my comments within 5 to 10 hours usually. But yeah, so go ahead and download the 64-bit, and I already have it downloaded. So once you download it, there should be a it should be in a compressed zip file right here, like this. And as you can see, it says the Pencil 2D applications right here, but if you try to open it, then it says this application may depend on other compressed files in this folder. So you're going to go ahead and click extract all. So this is going to extract all the files that were in your file folder, because it comes in a compressed file folder and you need to extract all of those out. So go ahead and click extract all. I already have it extracted. So then if you come back to your downloads, there should just be a regular file folder. So we took it out of this compressed zip file and we moved it into this regular file folder. So if you double tap this and come into Pencil 2D, and then if you go down, you see that this has an icon now. So now you can use this to run your application. So if you double tap it, then it will open your Pencil 2D, and I highly suggest posting it to your tab by just clicking right clicking on it and then clicking pin from taskbar. I already have it pinned on, so it says unpinned from taskbar, but go ahead and click pinned on taskbar once it opens. So just double tap that and it'll open your application. And now I'm just going to do a quick tutorial on how to use Pencil 2D. So Pencil 2D is actually really easy, but it can also be pretty complex. So I'm just going to do a quick little breakdown for you. It feels kind of awkward at first to kind of make all the different slides and stuff, but I'm just going to do a quick breakdown, and trust me, after you've been using it for a little bit, it gets a lot easier. So I'm going to make an Among Us animation in just a moment to show you kind of like, I'm just going to start one so that I can show you how it's done. But you have a couple of tools. So this is the pencil. You have a bunch of different colors, and let's say I'm using black right now, so you can see that you can just do whatever you want, and if you click Control-Z, it'll delete it all. But let's say I had something like that, and I just wanted to erase some of it. And also you can make let's say you wanted your brush to be bigger, you could do it right there, and then you'll have a bigger brush. Or let's say that I want a smaller eraser to just kind of pinpoint some of this. So let's say I want this little circle right here, but I want to take off some of this stuff. So then I can just use my eraser and take that stuff off. But yeah, this is the selection. So if you hold that and then do something like that, this tool it's meant to be used with this move tool that comes next. So let's say I have this in the selected area, then I click the move tool. Now I can move this. I can also make it bigger or smaller. And I can just move it wherever I want. And let's say that I had like multiple things, I could just put them all inside my box and then move them all. Okay, so this is just basically a painting tool. It's a little bit darker and thicker than the pencil, but it works just about the same way. Now the rest of these you don't really need to use. I will show you this last one, so let me get that fully on there. This paint tool, let's say I wanted to fill in this this little oval red. So I would get my paint tool, make sure it's all closed up, and then I would just put the red right in there, and then it would just fill it all the way up with red. But if I do outside, then it will fill up the whole thing. So make sure that it's all the way closed. Because let's say that I had a not all the way closed circle like that, then I wanted to fill it with orange, even if it's just the tiniest bit not closed. Like, let's say, see how it's not all the way closed? If I try to use my paint tool, it'll fill up the whole thing. So make sure that it's all the way closed before you use your paint tool, because it's a little bit confusing. But yeah, it's pretty easy to get the hang of once you've been doing it for a little bit. So now I'm going to move on to some of the animating things that I'm going to be using. So right here you can change your frames per second. The higher frames per second, the better quality it's going to be. So for example, let's say I want to do a ball rolling. So I can do, I'll make it a red ball. So let's say this is the ball right here. This is the duplicate. So let's say I click this, it'll make another screen, but it'll make it blank. I want to duplicate this. So let's say I want to duplicate it, then I can use that. I'm actually going to turn onion skin on, which lets you see the previous one. So let's say I make a blank one. I can see that the ball is right here. It isn't actually going to be on my animation once I make it. It's just to help me make sure that the ball isn't going too far per screen, so that it can be pretty similar. So you can see how that previous one disappears, and I'm just making the ball move. And let's say I'm going to have it bounce out of the corner like a Roku TV thing or something like that. So then it hits the corner. And if it goes out of the screen, it just won't show that bottom part, but it'll still work. So it just won't show that part in the animation. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, so in 4 FPS, that means 4 frames per second. So you can see it's pretty good, but if I move it to like 8 or something, it's faster, so it doesn't look at it like it's as good quality. So if I wanted to do 8 frames per second, my personal favorite, if you're a beginner, you might want to go down to 6 or so. I like 10. It takes longer to make because you need to make it more more intricate. Like you can do less moves per frame, or else it looks kind of wonky. So let's say that I'm just doing these tiny little moves. Ooh, that's a huge circle. But let's say I'm just doing these smaller movements. It'll look better if I have a higher frames per second, or else it'll take a really long time if I have a low frame per second. So now you can see that it goes through them pretty fast, and it looks a lot smoother, but it takes longer time to make. Okay, so now that I've kind of broken down the basics of this, there's one more part that I want to highlight. Well, a couple more parts. You can also import pictures. So let's say you want to import a picture of this troll face, let's say, and I'm going to shrink it down with the move tool. So then if I place it on there, and you have to make sure that you click before you just make another picture. So if I use my move tool, my selection tool, and then I go to the next page, it'll mess stuff up. So before you go to the next page, you want to make sure that you just click, and then it deselects that after you've been moving it. So now if let's say I want to duplicate this, and I want him to be crying, so I can have a little tear, and then I can just keep doing that. But let's say I wanted to move the tear, but if I use my selection tool right there, and then I try to move it, it moves his whole face. See? So I don't want that to happen. But if I try to erase it and then move it, then it erases his whole face. So that's a little bit confusing. So what I'm going to show you is how to do a background layer. So I can add a new bitmap layer, and I'm going to name it background. Sorry, I moved the mic a second there. Okay, so I'm going to move the background layer to the bottom, and I'm actually going to erase this because I want this guy on the background, because I'm going to be moving stuff in front of him, not behind him. And make sure that you move the background under your regular bitmap layer, and don't worry about the vector layer and the camera layer. We're just going to use the bitmap layers for now. So I'm going to go into my background, and I want that the troll face in my background. And I want him to be crying, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink him down, like I did earlier. And now that is my first frame. Okay, so my bitmap layer at the top doesn't have anything for the first frame. So I'm going to duplicate this one because I want the exact same thing. And for this top one, I'm just going to make a new one. So I'm going to have the tier start right here. So first, it's just going to kind of be like starting in his, you can zoom in with the mouse, by the way. And it's going to just be starting in his eye like that. And now I'm going to go to background. I'm going to duplicate that again. And then for this one, I'm going to actually get a new frame because I don't want to just have to move that. But let's say I did, and I selected it with the selection tool, and I moved it, it wouldn't move his whole face because I'm not actually doing something with the background. I'm only moving stuff from the bitmap layer. So now I'm going to have the tier get a little bit bigger. And I'm going to duplicate that again. And you need to make sure that your frames you keep making, let's say I didn't want a tier on this one. I still want to make a blank frame because I've had some problems because it will like kind of cast over and it's a little bit confusing and it can mess up your animation. So make sure that you always have frames. I'm going to make the tier a little bit bigger now. Like that. And I'm just going to continue this. And I'll just skip this part so you can see the animation once it's done. Okay, so now I've added enough frames so that it takes 1 second to play the whole thing. So now you'll see that the tear just comes down his face. And it actually looks pretty smooth because it's on 10 frames per second. It's not the smoothest thing ever, and your animations aren't going to be super smooth unless you turn it up to like 500 FPS or something like that. But I guess you can only go to 50. But if I have it up at 50, it's going to be really smooth. It'll almost look like it's just happening at one time. So it just kind of looks like it's sliding down his face. It's not actually looking like it's going screen to screen to screen. So if you have it in a pretty high FPS, it's going to take a long time to make a longer animation. But it'll look really nice, even with this pretty easy to use editing device. And one more thing that I want to show you is how to export your video. So once you're done making your animation, here's an animation that I've been working on for a little bit. It's really short. It's just when you thought you finally found a buddy in Among Us. But if you want to watch your animation, then what you do is once you're done, you click File, and you export it as this movie right here. And then if you click OK, then it will generate your movie, and you can open your movie now, and it should just be in your videos, and you can watch it, and you see that it's just kind of in just the white screen that you were animating it in. So let's say I wanted to make an Among Us animation. Let me just show you how I would do that. So first, for my background, I would probably want, let's say I want like a dark yellow for the background. I can just grab my paint tool and just drop that in there. And this might not be the color that you want. It's actually kind of ugly in the background. I'll do that color. That's pretty nice. So let's say I want to make a red character. I'm going to turn this down to 10. Ooh, not 100. But I'm just going to turn it down to 10. So I'm going to create my character like that. I'm just going to make it super simple. And I'm also going to draw him a light gray. Actually, I feel like this is more of a blue mask right there. I'm going to close that out so I can fill it in. And I'm going to add a little gray tint right there. And now if I grab this tool, I can fill it in. So now it looks like he's wearing his mask. I'm actually going to... Actually, I'm not going to do that right now. But then I'm also going to grab this tool and fill this in. So now it looks like a decent Among Us character. I'm also going to add him a little backpack right here. And then I'm also just going to fill this in. And then let's say I want him to be, it'll show him for a couple frames, and then it will switch to the other guy. and then it'll show the other guy for a couple of frames, and then yeah, you can just do whatever you want. And then let's say in the end he's dead, so we can just draw him with a awful bone sticking out of him. And let's get like a bright reddish color. Oof. Not what I was looking for right there. But let's say I want this color. I guess it's still in white. Let's say I add that in there, and then I can also just put his legs right back here. And then there's your simple Among Us animation. If you liked this video, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing some more maybe Among Us animation videos sometime, and I might be showing you how to make I might do a more in-depth tutorial on this if you would like it. Tell me in the description below what videos you would like me to do next, and I will try to get to those. If you have something that you'd like me to get for free, then just leave it in the comments below, and I will definitely do that for you. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.